after Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, there's really nothing first party wise that is going to be a big seller for him. So that does make me wonder come June when these publishers, hardware manufacturers do start to do these type of events, do we hear something then? Most of the leaks I found credible because they're pretty consistent stories we've heard for a while now, and they line up with sources like Digital Foundry verifying, like the Tegra T239 system on a chip, you know, DLSS, machine learning acceleration. That makes sense if you think about this story that came out again that I thought was pretty credible as well from VGC almost 8-9 months ago too, with them doing a Breath of the Wild demo. Why would you show that? I mean, there could be all kinds of reasons, but I almost feel like they in the modern world of consoles where we do get enhanced versions of previous generation games, that right away made perfect sense to me, right? Especially if they were also doing the epic Matrix Awakens demo too. So
Mhm.
the biggest part that makes me happy is it does seem like we are going to get backwards compatibility, which y-
That is go ahead, Chrono.
I would
yeah,
say
go
if
ahead.
they do not do back compat, I think we just have another like Wii U situation
Oh,
where people are like, "Why do I buy this? Like, why
yep.
am I investing in this at all?" But I think that's why Nintendo is playing it so close to the chest this time around, is because they don't want to confuse people by the time it launches. So they're trying to like get everything Switch out of the way. That's why
Yep.
Luigi's Mansion 2 is it for the year,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that Nintendo is being very careful with how they follow up probably their best system, right? Like sales wise, it's trailing on the Wii by a little bit.
Where
It,
is my not Breath of the Wild? Where is my Wind Waker Switch port, guys?
Right.
that was, yeah, that's been
That
rumored for a
On
while,
the
right?
Wii U. Like that in and of itself, like
they need to
uh,
free all of these Wii U games up. Like they need to. I don't see why they haven't, but it's probably like, hey, when the Switch 2 launches, we'll put these HD ports out that everybody's been wanting. I don't know. I'm still waiting on F Zero to come back in some way, right? Because F Zero GX has been rumored forever.
Yeah, and I always think there's always a hint of truth to those rumors with Nintendo. So whether it's just they're just waiting, right? Nintendo has games finished sometimes for like 3 years, and they're just holding on to. And so I could see that being with especially since F-Zero 99, like
yeah.
that was brilliant, first off. But I also feel like that's a really good way to say, hey, guys, remember this franchise? Oh,
Hmm.
you didn't know the franchise. Now you know it a little bit more. So maybe they do lean forward. Maybe that's a launch game. Who knows? But that was a great way to raise the equity of the brand and the gamers' consciousness. To your point, Chrono, I agree. Like if Nintendo dropped backwards compatibility, that would have been just such a boneheaded move. The Switch
Hmm.
sold, I think, as of September 2023, over 1.3 billion units of software. So the most software ever sold on the
Hmm.
Nintendo console. And if you think about it, the one issue they've always had was their account management system, right?
Yeah.
It sucks. Like I
It's it's better now than it has
Better.
ever been, but
yes.
it's still it's the Nintendo like way, right? They've got to do
Mhm.
it their own way, and because of that, it's going to be super different and clunky and awkward every single time.
And it's gonna take time, right? Because that's not really their expertise creating that type of technology and software. So
Hmm.
when we got the confirmation in a financial meeting, probably over a year ago now, that that system is gonna carry over, it's gonna be the universal system everywhere. That made me go, okay, backwards compatibility is definitely coming because now they have a way to link it, and they're gonna be using the evolution of the system on a chip on the Switch that could easily have backwards compatibility from a hardware perspective built in. So yeah, there was a lot of other rumors too, Chrono. Did you see the leaks come out this past week?
I talked about him a little bit on stream with the magnetic Joy Cons, and then the dock featuring the 4K like compatibility in the dock, which is
Yeah.
something I thought was going to happen when the OLED before it was the OLED when it was like the Switch 2 was that they were
Okay.
just going to release an upgraded dock, and that would be the way to do the Switch Pro was
Yeah.
just make it a TV console by way of the dock, but the hardware limitations of the original Tegra prevented that from being reality.
Now,
Yeah.
chat sounding off with Kylo saying we're waiting for Dragon Quest 2D HD remastered. I am as well. I've been watching every Nintendo event, hoping for some Dragon Quest news. I do want to take the conversation on that with chat for just a second because this week also
Yeah.
Square Enix announced over $140 million that they had in losses and that they're going to once again restructure their strategies. And I don't know how much of that was just this week alone or this month, or how much of that is already kind of happened. They already had that restructuring back like in January with the new CEO. And then the news is just coming out when it comes to their quarterly reports, namely because they continue to also been doing these very, long exclusivity deals with like, PlayStation in this case, which I think is hurting them. I think
Yep.
that is in and of
Yeah.
itself is actually hurting them. So when it comes to that, with building off of Nintendo going into Square Enix, do you guys have any thoughts about that this week?
I hope Dragon Quest HD Remake isn't one of the canceled games. I mean, they did announce that they were canceling some HD games, right? And that was a weird way to phrase it, right? Like, what does that mean? Almost all games are HD nowadays.
Yeah.
But the one thing, and I know Brian, we've had conversations related to this. Those Pixel HD remakes, those are very expensive from an art direction perspective. Like if they're doing true pixel assets in that HD style, like that is going to be your biggest cost almost on that budget. And they may look at that and say, hey, let's trim that out. But I don't know. It's if you look at total sales for Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy 15 is like one of the best performing ever. And that game is, I mean, I like it, but most people I feel like are like, okay. But it's because it launched everywhere all at once. PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 4, day one. That's what I think they need to get back to.
Yep. I will 100% agree. I was hoping Final Fantasy 9 is not the remake isn't canceled in that group as well. But
yeah, that would be a wrong.
like,
that would be a bad thing to cancel.
Last we heard in way of rumors and leaks and stuff is that it was basically done. It's just not going to be this big old remake like Final Fantasy 7 remake is. But yeah, I seriously stand by the fact that they've restricted Final Fantasy 16 to PS5 exclusivity at launch, and we still don't have Final Fantasy 7 remake on Xbox at all.
Right.
I think they're just reaping what they've sowed at this point. I get why they would chase that exclusivity money. I mean, if Sony's going to offer up the deal, secure the bag. But long term, that should have been. We should have at least remake integrate on Xbox by now, even if Rebirth doesn't come out for another couple of years.
Right. Even if it's like you kind of set the expectation like, hey, yeah, where I feel the industry is moving into that kind of concept of the timed exclusive as opposed to the pure exclusive, which I think 7 remake right now feels more like as close to a pure exclusive as you can get because it's also on PC. And I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm really impressed by 7 remake, and then building off of 16. I really love 16, but I get the critiques that people have leveraged against it after finally stepping into 7 remake, going like, holy crap, this is really exciting.